Ever so often there comes a time when two powerhouses collide, when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, like when Godzilla met King Kong, or that time the situation headbutted the wall on the Jersey Shore and kept partying. The next Clash of Titans comes Wednesday, July 1st at Bob O'Link's Golf Club, when WGR's Nate Gary and producer Burrs face off in the Degenvitational 2020, sponsored by none other than Positive Electric. Tune in live 7:15 for pre-show as well as live coverage throughout, because always remember, this train never stops.
Folks, welcome back to a brand new episode of Trainwreck Tonight, episode 169. I'm your host, Degenerate Al. I'm with Maniac. Happy Phase 4, last day of Q2. July's tomorrow. Show sponsor, Maniac, Positive Electric.
Folks, considering a residential or commercial electrical project, then consider our friends at Positive Electric. 716-698-2711. From new house wiring, main service upgrades to troubleshooting issues, Positive Electric licensed and insured all over Erie County. Mention Trainwreck Sports or say this train never stops and get a free house surge protector with every service upgrade. Positive Electric, 716-698-2711.
So we had some big news that just broke over the past hour. Who better to have on? Special guest, first time ever on Trainwreck, Pat Malacaro. Pat, how are you tonight?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me on. It's a very surreal day for sure at what you're going to mention in a moment. But glad to be joining you guys, and been looking forward to chatting with you guys ever since you extended the invite.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely have some somber news that came out. Almost expected. I think you can agree with that. But obviously, some of the big news that just dropped was minor league baseball has canceled the 2020 season.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, there's never been a year since minor league baseball started that there wasn't at least one league playing. And this is the first time ever. And, it is expected. Had we gone back, to April, I'd have thought maybe a couple of months, hopefully we get a season in. But, just as the year kind of went on and even Major League Baseball not starting up yet, it would have been hard to play 50, 60 games, and then add in the fact that you wouldn't have fans. So it stinks. It's super disappointing. But I know everyone in the front office is really hoping that now we can get ready for 2021 and make next year one of the years that people won't forget in a good way.
Yeah, Maniac, the first time in over 4 decades, no Bisons baseball in downtown Buffalo.
Yeah, and luckily I was able to get a press pass last year, courtesy of Pat. He got us the in, so we were able to be there for most of the season. And it just goes to what he said. I mean, I think the MLB could survive without fans, but I don't know if minor league baseball could survive without fans, because those games are an event. They're a show. Thinking about Kids Day last year, when oh my gosh, what's the shark?
Baby Shark?
When Baby Shark played on Kids Day, I'm not lying. I worried for my general safety at Kids Day. You should have seen. I've never seen a crowd of kids. Baby Shark. It was. We're talking 15, 16,000 strong at least. I don't know the number specifically, so I won't get into it. Star Wars Day, Game of Thrones Day, Dog Day when Prince Philip won Dog of the Day. I mean, who could forget what a memorable time that was? It is a true. I mean, you could say travesty, you could say tragedy, but, people are going to make the best of it, obviously, either way, like Pat and the Bisons are already doing. But an absolute shame that we're not going to have this 2020 MiLB season.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Al.
I was going to say, what's the deal with these players? When are they getting, the pay, players, coaches, employees of these ballparks?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a side effect of this is there are going to be a lot of players that we don't see again. For whatever reason, just like, college seniors may have played their last game. We may have seen some players that just don't come back with this. And you add in the fact that the agreement between the majors and the minors is up right now in terms of the majors supplying players. It's a 10-year agreement every 10 years. That's up for negotiation right now. So we may see the landscape of minor league baseball change. There's talk of contracting up to 42 teams, and those are the short season teams because maybe the draft gets moved to a later time and you don't need those teams necessarily. So, there's players that may have played their last game. There are teams that may never open their doors again in some communities.
Yeah.
So it really is, a precarious time for minor league baseball. But, you look at it and you sit back and the sheer economics, Zach, you just mentioned a minute ago about not having fans in the stands. You would lose, I'm just throwing a number out there, maybe double what you would right now, opening the gates for minor league baseball with no fans, because, at least Major League Baseball and the pro sports, they get TV revenue. If we were to have a 50-game season and not open the gates, well, you still have to bus from Buffalo to Lehigh Valley or Buffalo to Pawtucket. We have to stay in hotels. All those things will add up. And without any revenue coming in, because the games may be on TV, but it's not a pay contract, those losses add up pretty quick. So, going back to the question about it probably being inevitable, that's kind of why it always felt in the last month or so that this announcement today was coming, whether or not it was sooner or later.
And Maniac, it's not just, the players, the coaches, the employees of minor league baseball. It's the local businesses around the stadium. Talk about the Washington Square.
How about this guy? How about you want to talk about who's struggling in 2020?
Yes.
NHL, MiLB. This guy does it all. I mean, we want to get him at Seneca One Tower if we're hosting events there. Let's get him getting out concessions there. But no, you're right. The local businesses. I mean, Washington Square. Earlier part of the 2010s, not to just sound like some old geezer or whatever, but my friends would literally plan summer events around going to Washington Square and then spending the day at the ballpark. It's an amazing time. I mean, and the MiLB, if you truly enjoy baseball at any level, just being able to get so close to that near professional level of the game is incredible. There's no other sport that offers you that opportunity to literally interact with players in the other team. I mean, there are some stories with Nick in Tampa. Nick in Tampa, Al, will go on players' Twitter and he'll scream their tweets at them. It was hysterical. There was one from a coach of the opposing team. He goes, "I have no idea how there can be a traffic jam when there is no accident. Explain that to me." And that was actually a tweet from the opposing head coach. And he goes, "I don't know. How could there be?"
You're right. That's so true.
You would never see that in any other sport. You never see that event. I mean, you got Buster Bison himself, who's a huge entity. I mean, the empire that is celery. I mean, talk about that brand itself. I mean, it's incredible. And we're missing out. It's the little things that we're missing out. And already, I don't mean to start this show on a sour note. And obviously, Pat, I know you do an amazing job covering the team, but baseball is already suffering in just a huge way and has suffered more than any other sport so far when it comes down to the lack of ability to get a deal done. And, I mean, it draws attention to the smaller draft class as well. There are so many players that were normally going to be in that draft pool that would have had a chance to develop at a lesser level, grind it out, and eventually get to that top tier. And, I mean, hopefully it's not lost.
Yeah, and that you're right. It's, you add all these things together. The fact that Major League Baseball and the players couldn't come to an agreement sooner. I know hockey and basketball had the advantage of basically being at their playoffs. So, they were able to formulate a plan because they had made their money. But, the way that the squabbling went back and forth, I think when we look back, this is not going to be, a great moment in baseball's history. And, taking out the minor league portion of it because that's separate. But you're going to look back on these 4 months and say, man, you missed the mark in a lot of ways. And I'm not going to lay the blame on any one side or who deserves more, but it really is disappointing. And I just hope that this is it. And, we can move on from it, whether it be the 60-game season and playoffs in 2021 happens in a major league season, or on the minor side of things that we're able to have nearly 17,000 fans come to the ballpark next year. I just hope this is just a small portion of what's going to be a long history for all of us.
Cheers to that.
And that's the toughest thing, because I got the people that always rip on MLB, to me personally, friends, talking about how, with what's been going on in the past couple months, how they can't get a deal done. Owners are money hungry, players are money hungry, and they want them to suffer. It's almost like they don't want a season. They don't care. The people that don't care about baseball and would even want sports, they don't give a crap. They're like, I want to see baseball suffer. And it's really sad to see that. And it's out of the 4 major sports, it is no doubt hurting the most. And with social media the way it is nowadays, and MLB, I mean, you see where the NBA and NFL is. and it's like the NHL and MLB, it's not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close. And that's the thing that's suffering. And even last year, talking to people and friends, how, more kids and people and like the normal fan at baseball games, at minor league, major league, getting hit by baseballs. And I hate to bring this topic up. And one of my things that I've always thought about is, why is that happening? What are people doing at their seats?
Well, and I think that's one of the things,
right?
over the course of, years, things change. And we saw it. I'm old enough. I grew up going to Sabre games at the Odd. There was no netting. When I started going to the arena, there was no netting. But unfortunately, it took an incident in Columbus and a tragedy there for all of us to look at it and say, why didn't we have netting before? And now it is behind the nets. And that's one of the things going into this year, that was one of the positives. I think virtually every major league team had announced that they were extending the netting to protect fans, because you can be watching a game. I've been at games where I'm paying super close attention. You sit above the dugout and somebody has a check swing and it goes in the stands. There's situations where you can't react fast enough. It's just bigger, stronger, faster happens, and you can't do anything about it. And I know from a Bison perspective, that was one of the changes we were looking forward to this year, is having the netting go all the way down. And, the work has been continuing on that project, even though there isn't baseball this year. So that's one of the fan enhancements that we're going to see going forward. And I think if it isn't, it's been a while, so I have to go back to the memory bank a little bit. If it's not the standard, it will be the standard for all of the majors and the minors soon enough. And we're seeing everybody kind of changing with those times. And, it is something that I don't think we're going to get much pushback from the average fan saying, man, I can't see the game through the screen. I mean, we're way past those days. Or, man, I wish it could have interacted with a player more. You're still going to have all those things. It's just going to evolve a little bit because times have evolved.
I've sat down the line a little bit. I've sat up close. The screen really is not obtrusive in any way if you want to enjoy the game. But just one last thing on this point. The Spanos have the tickets, Al, right down, like literally row one by the
four seats.
Dugout. And Kristen, our friend, always says that when she went with her dad to the game, when there was no net on the row one right by the dugout, he always said if there was a foul ball, he'd stop it with his hand. Like, and just when you think about that idea, like, people were just built different a generation ago, like that, because that's just incomprehensible. Of course, no one would want their child right there where they could get an 85 now for deflection, obviously. But yeah, things change. It's good to see, obviously, the Bisons, leading on that forefront as well.
Those seats are incredible. I mean, I remember the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas, right in front of me one time.
Richie Sexton, Bartolo Colon, all up close.
Those seats are amazing.
Shout out the Bison's green and red logo back in the day, the early 2000s. Let's go.
Oh my God. All right, Maniac. Next topic. You know what I'm bringing up.
Yeah, let's go.
Pat's probably seen it.
Pat's been thinking about it all day. He's been thinking about it all day.
Yesterday was a monster day for Trainwreck Sports, and it goes back to the dildo thrower. And I remember I had to take a half day because I was so excited when we're getting cited in Yahoo Sports, New York Daily News, New York Post. And yesterday was one of those days where you get a source, you get a scoop, and you make it happen. It's not easy because, Trainwreck Sports.
Oh, it sucked. For an hour and a half, it sucked.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking over the years of Trainwreck Sports. We've gotten scoops. We've gotten some certain things, but we haven't known how to play it. Do we confirm with someone else, and then 15 minutes later, boom, the news drops. And it was one of those things yesterday for Trainwreck where the EVP of Finance of PSE was fired, and you saw today in the Buffalo News, Maniac, Trainwreck Sports on a different
2 columns.
paragraph.
Well, my positive spin is that Trainwreck Sports got 2 physical columns because the name cut off right on. But I think that's a great spin zone. Yeah, you're right. When we were getting our first initial sources, our first initial scoops, we got told, Reggie Ragland is definitely off the roster about an hour before he got traded to Kansas City. Got told Russ Brandon is in a heap of trouble. He could be fired by the end of the weekend. On the Friday, he ended up getting released. And yeah, you know what?
Yep.
We were Thor in Thor 1. We didn't know what we were doing. We were very cocky. We thought we were so cool. We were running around. And yeah, we had to get brought down to size. Now with this recent scoop, Thor Ragnarok. We got lightning coming out of our eyes. We're throwing the hammer down. And yeah, I mean, we hit it. It was a very nervous 90 minutes because we had our source tell us, and we couldn't confirm the second source. I know people who are in journalism, they say always get 2 sources. Well, there were 6 people in this meeting that happened. So unless we were talking to 2 of the 6 people, we weren't going to have 2 sources. So yeah, I mean, we do take liberties that a lot of outlets wouldn't take. I don't think I'm not throwing any shade. A 247 or a Spectrum News, I don't think would have ran with that story because they did not have multiple sources. They didn't have backup, anything like that. We kind of had the liberty where breaking news isn't our forte. It's not all we do. We're not 100% Big J journos integrity to, bleeding out of our eyes. We would be okay to make a mistake. And because of that, we took a chance and reported a story that we had, and it ended up being right. It was a great feeling,
And nailed it too. It wasn't even like, we were so close with the Russ Brandon. Like we were minutes away, and then
Russ Brandon, I wanted to cry. Like literally, Russ Brandon, I wanted to cry.
I did cry.
Yeah,
and
we were crying.
We were so. Oh, I remember I was in my boss's office, like throwing shit. And yeah, yesterday felt good. I mean, the initial tweet was over 2 hours and like 15 minutes before anything. We nailed it an hour and 5 minutes before, and then you said that 60 to 90 minutes was tough, but it felt good. Pat, have you ever had an instance like that when it comes to breaking stories where you had a source?
Had to have from like your time at GR and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean there are occasions where you do have information or whatever, but I've never had a story quite like that or anything. The only thing that comes to mind is it's not a source, but back when the Pagulas were buying the Sabres, I happened to go down to the NHL All-Star Weekend. It was in Carolinas, and I was waiting outside the Board of Governors meeting, and Jeremy Jacobs had walked by, and I was standing there with somebody else, and they had a quick conversation and found out that Terry Pagula had already had his interview with the Board of Governors, and that quickly caught on, and he was the first one to report it because it was their conversation, but it was one of those things you're right around it the whole time, and all the stories get it takes off because you're right in the heart of it, right in the thick of it. So it is one of those those are the days when you're through your journalism school that you do look forward to and being able to break stories and stuff. So yeah, in a situation like yesterday for you guys, I'm sure a bittersweet day for some, and obviously not a great day for others, but for you guys to break that story is that's something to be proud of.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, Pat, obviously through all the just your time at GR and working the phones everything here, someone's had to have called up with a glimpse of a rumor that actually became true at some point, and B, probably the most ridiculous rumors that ever happened. Like, I'll never forget 2 years ago when Jimmy Garoppolo was at Mulberry's. Like, yeah, I'll remember for that day and a half. But like, there's just some ridiculous. The old days it was always so and so is at the airport. Bill Cowher's at the airport. Andy Reid is at the airport. Michael Vick being at the airport was a monster. Michael Vick might have actually been at the airport, and then Herm Edwards made the call or whatever, and he got back on the plane and left. But
it was a connecting flight.
A connecting flight for sure. Did you ever get like any like craziness that ended up being true, or just like maybe the most absurd rumor you ever got in your time there?
Yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few over the years, and not one necessarily that I can pick off the top of my head, but back when you're board hopping and working with the weekend shows or whatever, sometimes people would call in with these random things or want to go off these random topics. So it happens, and there are certain things that you hear over time, like certain stories that you kind of want others to kind of confirm for you, and in situations you guys have had before where you might hear something, but in journalism school you do get the 2-3 sources, and by the time you do, the news is already out there, and it's the way it goes. I've always been of the mindset, I'm the old school journalist. You better be right than get it out there first. Yeah, I'm not taking your case as an example, but always taking caution. So I've if I didn't break the story, it wasn't the worst thing for me. Just getting the story right and making sure, maybe it's a quote that I have that somebody else isn't going to have. That's most important to me than being the first one to report it.
I mean, I could not imagine the early 2000s if Twitter was around. Pat Malacaro leaving Comstock Avenue party.
Oh
3
my
a.m.
gosh! Could you? I mean,
with an exam at 7:30 the same day.
he has an 8:30. He had an 8:30 Monday, Wednesday, Friday the next night, and he went out to a mixer on Comstock, and then the next thing you know, he's buried in a plate of insomnia cookies, and he hasn't even reviewed his notes.
So Pat, that's where we're going into your background now. Obviously, Syracuse, Newhouse, been at GR since 2006. But let's get into some Syracuse. How were those days?
Oh, it was awesome. And, it's one of those things. The reason I went there is because so many journalists, and especially sports journalists, had gone there before, previously. And if you, it's not to quote Ric Flair, but, you want to be the best. You want to go to the best places. So, riffing on his quote a little bit, I wanted to go to Syracuse. And my freshman year was when they won the national championship. 2000.
Not bad. Not a bad freshman year.
Yeah, never lost a home game at the Carrier Dome. Carmelo Anthony, Jerry McNamara, Akeem Warwick, Quet Duaney, Craig Forth, you name Josh Pace. I mean, all those players. Great time for Syracuse basketball. Football, not as good, but basketball was great. And, the 3.5 years were some of my most fun times. And just even the guys I got to know that are journalists now in different areas, and just in what some of my roommates have gone on to do is just really fun to see. And in the age of social media, being able to stay in touch more so than maybe before has been great.
Sometimes I miss the obvious in front of me. Was your freshman year the championship year, and then senior year the Jerry McNamara 10 fucking games run?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Al, that run? Are you kidding me? Being on campus when he was hitting those shots, I can't even imagine. I was there for the 2 Final Fours like that we've had obviously in the last decade, but I could not imagine being on campus every day with those runs and just like living it like those shots. Oh my gosh.
Well, and that's the thing, the Big East tournament, I graduated by that point. So
oh my God, cruise control for Malacaro. Let's go.
Well, I was actually working, so like I was driving delivery service. So I'd be driving, listening to ESPN radio and listening to the games and McNamara hitting the shots.
Oh my God!
In those games, and calling buddies who were still in school that were at the Madison Square Garden. It was a crazy time. The only unfortunate part was that Jerry was, I think, somewhat injured. That was like he had those 4 or 5 games in him. And then after that, they lose in the first round of the tournament to Texas A&M. Yep. It was a sad way to go out, but that was incredible.
Pat, it's kind of funny. You graduated in 3.5 years. I was the person I went to UB for 6 years just to see their first MAC basketball title.
He wasn't walking until they were dancing.
No, and this is no joke. I told all my friends, I was like, I'm going to be going to this school until we get it done. And in my 6th year at UB, they did it. And I'll never forget that MAC title in Cleveland, my 6th year at UB. And then I graduated after that. So, yeah. People ask, what happened? Why were you at UB for 6 years? There you go.
Hey, Lance Leipold just took a 5th year at UB. No big deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, and in your footsteps, he'll probably take a 6th year.
I don't know. I mean, that's at the end of the day.
You go back to that MAC championship, and I went to Columbus for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to go to the MAC championship in Cleveland, but getting a chance to go to be in the arena for that game against West Virginia, and only 5 hours away, and knowing how many UB fans showed up. I mean, you ask for a better scenario. I mean, I guess going to KeyBank Center and being able to play there is a dream scenario. But besides that, I mean, that's as close, almost as close as you could get. And it was such a fun time. And for you to be in school still for that, I mean, it's experiences like that you just don't get all the time.
No, as someone who is new to Cleveland, though, the UB fan base definitely feeds off that behind enemy lines vibe that they get from being in Cleveland. Like, if they were going down to KeyBank, I think they'd have, like, their Tim Hortons. They'd be a little more, hope Coach has them ready today, whereas they're like, horns up, baby, let's go. Like, there's definitely more of it. Like, I mean, you have to be in – like, I don't mean to be that person. You have to go experience it yourself. But UB fans in Cleveland are just nuts.
You're spot on because it's an Ohio conference.
Yeah.
So you're walking into enemy lines right when you cross that border. So like when you get to that city and you're wearing all blue and no one else is, it's a great feeling. And those years, I've been going there since '04, and R.I.P. Paninis. Who knows what's going to happen to that place? Because obviously it's a tough time with the with COVID and everything. But
This place
who knows?
had some of the craziest sandwiches I've ever seen, Pat. I mean, I know they're like, what do they have? The Philly style sandwiches or whatever? I mean, I don't know what they're called or whatever, but they put the French fries on them and everything.
Oh, French fries, coleslaw, whatever kind of meat
the
you
Pittsburgh
want.
style. Yeah, okay.
Pittsburgh style. They were saying, oh
Massive.
my gosh, they were so good.
Massive. So speaking of sandwiches, Pat, I know you're a big South Buffalo guy. Wanted to ask you, because I'm not. I'm a North Towns guy. And Maniac, hey, you're a North Towns guy. Yeah.
Well, but I'm a little bit more appreciative of the South Towns than you are. I mean, I've had my Elma, my Eden, you know.
Okay, enough. So, Pat, got to ask you, like, favorite restaurants and favorite wings in South Buffalo?
I mean, I've been going to Doc Sullivan's for, 20 years now for their wings. And for people that don't know, there's a South Buffalo style wing, the Smitty wing. And Doc's was originally Smitty's, and Smitty, who owned the place, came up with his own style of wing. Doc's does them really well. The Buffalo Irish Center, they've been making food now for several years. They've got a really good wing there too. And it's not your, sauce-based wing. And I don't say it in a bad way, but, it's got a lot of spice to it. The crispier, the better. There's sauce on them, but it's not overpowering. And I think those two places do it really well. I mean, I live a couple blocks away from Imperial. You go there for almost anything. The history of it being Bocce South and then becoming Imperial over the years. So not much has changed in terms of the pizza and the wings there. So any style you want, you can get. But if you come into South Buffalo, you definitely Blackthorn. They have really good South Buffalo.
Blackthorn bomb. That's one of our top reviews for wing reviews. I do have to say, unfortunately for your boys at Doc's, they had a bad showing on wing reviews, but by their standards for sure. I think they were like a low 7. But I know that a lot of people consider them in their top 5. That's the thing of wing reviews. You get one shot, one opportunity to seize everything your wing restaurant ever wanted.
Doc Sullivan's on Abbott Road in South Buffalo.
All right.
First impression, what do you think?
Doc Sullivan's, I'm loving the look of them. Look very crispy. I'm seeing like some flavor maybe into the wing there. I got a little side sauce here I'm going to rub against, and I'm going to tear up here.
Cheers. Wrong. Planning accordingly.
Ooh, I don't like the look on that wing.
Yeah, that's...
Let's see, we'll take a bite.
Looks like it's... What? Is that green on this side?
Yeah,
That's...
I'm out. I'm going to lock in an Eric Wood, a 70 for these Doc Sullivans. To be honest, I was expecting a little bit better, but...
Yeah, and they've got so many different styles of wings, and the beef on weck wing and all these different flavors. So something for everyone.
And Pat, I got to bring up because I've always been a North Towns guy. I mean, born and raised, so we never experienced like the true South Buffalo wings, pizza, and I started dabbling into it. Started dating a girl from West Seneca, South Buffalo. Her family was from there, and Imperial, hands down, #1. I love it. Every time we're in South Buffalo, and I'm not that far. I'm in Cheek to Vegas. It's like 22 minutes. It's not that bad. But like Imperial, still today, I tell my father this, my brother this, you got to go there. Like, it's the best. And I love the outdoor seating now, the restaurant that they got there. It's amazing.
It is. And, to see what it was before and then the renovation and to be able to eat outdoors now and when the weather's nice like it is. I mean, that was originally, I'm going to the memory banks, but that was a Bocce pizzeria way back when.
That's something I haven't heard. So I got to confirm that. That's awesome. I did not know that.
And then once Bocce left, I believe, fact check me on this, but I think there were some Bocce employees that ended up taking it over. So that's why, if you're a fan of pizza, it's cut the same way. It's
the same size, the same box,
pizza.
right? Yes.
You can get the half pizza, all that stuff. So it makes sense. If you like that style pizza, you're going to like that from Imperial. And
dude, my mind is blown right now.
What's more mind
more alike than you think.
What's more mind-blowing, that or the fact that DeBella's Subs was, like, inherited by Wegmans for their sub shop? And people always say DeBella's is still better and that they gave Wegmans, like, the 1B, like, recipe. That's what everyone says, not me. That's what everyone says in my intern's report. But, real quick, Southtown semi-sleeper, because if you're in the Southtowns, you don't view it as a sleeper. I'm sure you guys one. Bella Pizza. Great combo of pizza and wings, for sure. Yeah, I'd say always above a Jason Kroom. Always above an 80 out of 100.
That's a place I don't go to often enough. As much as I'm a Southtowner, I stick South Buffalo, downtownish. So further south, I don't get to enough. But
yeah, that's not a City of Buffalo place. You got to be like really in the Southtowns to get to Bella, for sure. That's why it's. I feel like a lot of Northtowners probably don't know about it, but to the Southtowns, it's probably not so much a sleeper.
All right, Pat, I have two questions for you. One, what do you consider like the border from like the North Towns and the South Towns? And two, actually, three questions. Do you hate the North Towns?
no.
Because some people that are South Towns,
There are no
they
Bisons
refuse.
fans. Pat can't stand Bisons fans from Amherst. He just hates it. Lockport, Amherst, hates all of us.
You know what I mean, though? There's some South Towns people that just they will not go to the North Towns. Oh, the
people
traffic.
are North Towns and South Towns people are like that. There are people like that. You're one of them. You don't like being caught in the South Towns. If I see your Bitmoji or your Snapchat in the South Towns, I know something's going on. Like you're forced there for work.
But it is almost like two different places. Like
It
the
is.
Station, GR is up on Maple, right by UB. If I drive on the Boulevard, I don't experience that on Camp Road or Southwestern. Like it's just totally different. So it's two different styles. I like them both, but it's definitely a lot different. I think for me, really, once you get to North Buffalo and above, like downtown is almost the line between North Towns and South Towns. So, I mean, you got Lancaster, which is kind of in between everything.
That's south.
The way the 190 jutting out to go north to the Galleria or south to the South Towns, that's probably the equator of sorts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think Cheek to Vegas, I'm right on the equator.
Yeah, but you're North Towns.
You're like in Barbados. You're in like the equivalent of Barbados in this world. And you know what's funny is that so just like the North Pole and South Pole in our minds are relatively equivalent, I feel like Clarence and Eden are pretty similar. Like, I feel like the more you get away from the equator, you actually get similar. Whereas closer to the equator, like Amherst versus Orchard Park, like I know whether I'm in Amherst or Orchard Park. If you drop me in Clarence or Eden, I could maybe get fooled.
I can see that. Yeah.
All right. No more.
I regret going with that question.
I do. I mean, I hope we can cut this. So no more North Town, South Town. It's time for some WGR talk. Pat, first question I wanted to ask you is, what was it? I don't even remember how many years ago this was now, but were you on the show when I called in? I thought it was you, Koziel, Ryan Gates talking Big Four basketball when I broke the news about Alan Green going to Auburn.
It was 2 years and 5 months ago.
So you were still on it?
Yeah, so Ryan wanted Brian and I to join him because I go to a lot of Canisius Niagara games, and Brian, being right by UB, covers UB a lot more. So yeah, that's a great memory. Yeah, we were on the show that night with him.
I could not remember, like, was I just with Gates or were you still on that? And I was talking to Maniac. I'm like, we got to bring that up tonight. Like, if you were actually on. Oh, that was so funny. I remember. I'm like, I'm calling Maniac. It's a commercial break. I'm like, I hope they don't figure it out. I hope they don't know. I want to break this on GR.
Another one of your scoops, yeah.
It wasn't a scoop. It was just a tweet. The tweet started filing in.
It was on. Remember, this was the most random thing ever. Okay, because we do have sources at UB or whatever that would have got our sources there, but that one wasn't it the lead story on Score Mobile and nowhere else. It was on Score Mobile, Pat, as like a news update. Because typically you're just going to that app to check scores. Yeah. But then under the news, it was like AD Green leaving UB for Auburn. And it was just like one of those one sentence blurbs that they get up real quick. And like, we were just looking at that like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden start double checking. And yeah.
All I hear is Gates on the keyboard.
Yeah. That was the first time. That was literally the first time on WGR I could ever remember hearing somebody actually clicking a mouse and going on the keyboard. He goes, that looks like the case.
So, great transition right here, Pat. You've been there since 06.
Real quick. Shout out Corporate Gates, who's going to be with us tomorrow when Burrs takes on Nate Geary. He will be Nate Geary's caddy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, tomorrow night's going to be a great time. But, Pat, you've been with GR 14 years. what are some of your favorite moments? Do you have like an all-timer, like something like that?
Well, off the air, we were named the top sports station in the country back in 2008. We won the Marconi Award for that. And, all the hard work that goes into working at the station. I started right when the Sabres were starting to make their playoff runs. So to see a lot from the inside, I talk with Brian and John Colesy all the time. Brian's brother John was a producer. And, the work he used to put into some of those playoff opens that we would run. And, wanted to be there on Sunday morning, the day after, a game against the Rangers in the second round of the playoffs, and to play those highlights and things like that. To be at the station for 2.5 years and to win that award was great. And, it's one of those things that you just look back and say, the station hasn't won it since. So that's just a moment that we all kind of took a lot of pride in and still do to this day.
And of course the team was good. So it is kind of a winning solves everything. We saw it last year with our Bills content. When they're 9-3, you can post a picture of Josh Allen. You're going to blow up a little bit. But with that said, when those good years were happening, there was some A+ content coming out of WGR. I'm remembering the Teddy Bruschi content after that Sunday night game. I'm remembering the Dominic Hasek parodies. Come on, there was a lot of supplementary stuff. And it was good because you would literally, you guys blended it perfectly. I say that because you were there, obviously. You blended it perfectly to where you'd be listening to some analytical take that actually had fact and basis, and then it would transition to the most ridiculous story about Teddy Bruschi saving someone from a burning vehicle, or Dominic Hasek not knowing what's going on, or Marty Baron having confused on what to pack for a road trip or something. There was good content like that made it wholesome. It made it felt like you connected more with the sports scene.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a lot of the reason why, we took a lot of pride and still do in everything that goes on at the station. And, now maybe you see that in the drafts that show up in the Bulldog will do on Fridays and just a lot of that lighter stuff because, you can't take those years for granted. And, the year before I was listening to the morning show, joke about, guys in the Ottawa Senators and certain players. And then a year later, I'm watching them produce that content. So it's fun to be on both sides of it and to be able to see it. And, even the 2 years that more recently the Sabres made their playoff runs, they won the division, and the year that the Pagulas bought the team and they lost in the first round of Philadelphia, there's a lot of juice that was around. And it's a lot of fun to go to the arena knowing that, people are paying attention. They're literally, listening to every word you say, and you always want to be right. You always want to, bring out the best that you can because so many people are, listening, and you were in that spot once before.
And I'm trying to think those, obviously there's the Bills raps. If there were those Buffalo Sabres playoff songs too.
Yep. The fans would send them in. Nick Mendola would make songs. Yeah. It was, and that's part of the fun of it is to get fans to interact when things are going well.
It's just crazy. Look at Maniac's hair.
Yeah. So why are we talking Sabres players? Now I'm thinking 2011 Flyers. I'm just remembering stealing game 1 and an Ennis game winner, I think, on a rebound in game 5 on the road. That felt those felt so good. Those felt so good. And you got to be in a good mood for days. It was honestly the last month of the Bills season last year. You got to be in such a good mood for 2 to 3 weeks in a row. It was insane. But hopefully times like that right around the corner.
It's crazy to me. I was underage, could not buy alcohol when the Sabres last made the playoffs. I'm sorry, that is just
not consuming alcohol too.
I wasn't. I was camping out at Tops with producer Burrs for Sabres playoff tickets. Just think about, what are you doing, Maniac?
I'm just questioning the listener who might have believed that. That's all I'm doing.
Wait, you don't think that was real?
I'm not gonna incriminate you on a live show.
Thank you. There's no need to do that.
Okay.
All right, Sabres, WGR. What's the hot story over the past week? Paul Hamilton. Pat, that was pretty quick. He got scooped up like that.
He got the best of all worlds. That's my new hot take on this. He got to see that everybody loved him. He got to see ultimately everybody show him respect. And literally he pulled the Rob Ryan. He was unemployed for about 5 minutes. And now he's back. You think anything's going to be wrong with him on WGRZ? No, that's a powerhouse.
And Pat, real quick though, he didn't reach out to Trainwreck though. Maniac, you asked him to come on Trainwreck.
Yeah,
Join-
I have on good authority from our board that we proposed an offer that
We
was,
did.
a lot of people wouldn't just, decline, so we'll see. So, of course, we wish Paul Hamilton the best. He's been on the show before. Glad to have him back in the mix. The Buffalo sports scene is better with Paul Hamilton in the mix than it's not.
100%.
No doubt. I mean, he brings more than 30 years of experience, play-by-play, beat reporter, you name it, Paul's done it. And I consider Paul a good friend. So, it was very sad when the news came out. But like you said, to be less than a day later, being with Channel 2 now and being able to do commentaries. And I watched his one on last Saturday and, talking about the NHL draft lottery. Paul was right back in his element. And, it'd be very sad to have a hockey season without Paul around. And I'm glad that whenever hockey starts back up, that's not going to be the case because if there's somebody that, lives hockey, it's Paul. And looking forward to seeing him at the rink again.
Me too. And you're right. Who knows when we'll ever see Buffalo Sabres hockey again? I mean, as of right now, we have a tentative date for MLB. We have a tentative date for NBA. NFL is on schedule, but nothing really for NHL, right? There's no official.
Right. It's kind of getting around to the point where what are the hub cities going to be? I think still that they have to be some deals worked out between the owners and the players to make everything, work together. Not that they won't get it done. Like the NBA, they've got their plan ready to go. The NHL kind of laid theirs out, but just like the framework, they put it in pencil. Now it's putting it to ink and making sure it finally comes through. And then, we're probably going to see December or January next year when the NHL and NBA's new season start. And hopefully that involves fans and all of us kind of being back to a little bit to normal of what it was like.
Yeah. So speaking of, sports, the coronavirus, obviously we hate talking about it. So Pat, I want to rattle off some quick questions for you about your quarantine and sports right now. Pat, your favorite show during quarantine?
Schitt's Creek. I finally finished it.
I've gotten a bit. That's like on deck. I kept Schitt's Creek on the on deck. I started Ozark. That was my one. So I'm into a season of that. Pretty good. I've heard season 2 is a big job of my friends who I respect their comedy sense say Schitt's Creek is one of the funniest shows on TV.
Okay. So
it's one of those where it's a little bit of a slow burn. You may through the first season, you may take a couple episodes to get into it, but it really hits its own. And, it was my favorite show and sad to see it go.
Okay. Fair enough. It's kind of like The Wire. First season, very slow. You got to get past it. Next, your favorite activity in quarantine minus looking at a screen?
Golf.
Golf a lot?
I was
Okay.
talking to him in the pre-show. I go, Pat, you look like you've been laying in a tanning bed, bro. He goes, no, I've just been on the golf course every day.
Yeah. I don't get a chance to golf much in the summer. I've golfed probably 8 times already this year, and I probably 8 times in the last 5 years, just because even before I was full-time at the Bisons, working a job and then working home games and going on the road sometimes, you don't have time to golf. So
Baseball schedule is brutal. Like, I'm just thinking now for, like, announcers, because it's basically like you're a player. Like, you're doing everything they're doing all the time.
Yeah.
140 games, 150 days. It was it's a fun life.
Your off days must be like finding like a treasure chest. Like you probably just want to like curl into a ball and sleep and golf in your mind.
Yeah, but hoping to hit, like I've never played Grover Cleveland. I'm playing that on Friday. I want to hit up a course that played the U.S. Open before and maybe get a couple new courses in I've never played.
That's awesome. And this is the summer to take care of it, no doubt. Next one is favorite snack during quarantine.
The munchies. You guys ever have that?
Yeah, the combo, the pretzel, like Cheeto. It's an off-brand Cheeto they use, or whatever, and then
they're
it's an actual
brand,
Cheeto.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm out. And then they use Sun Chip. Is it Sun Chip?
And
then pretzel, Cheeto,
Doritos.
Sun Chip, and Dorito. Those 4.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. When you get the flamin' munchies. Oh,
that's the one. Yep.
Oh, I thought you were asking us if we ever had the munchies.
Yeah, I go like, Pat, come on, dude. I average 8.5 chocolate chip cookies per night, bro.
So I was gonna say, what's the definition of the munchies? Like being hungry after 9 p.m. Is that it? Like, what is the definition, Maniac?
I would say when you eat after to everyone it's different. I would actually say within 90 minutes of going to bed, and you eat in that mode where it feels like no matter how much you eat, you're like not gonna ever be like not hungry. Like definitely potato chips play into that.
Okay.
Like pretzels, like
Okay.
the very popular snack items play perfectly into those because they're airy. They feel like that you're not eating a lot until you're like gorged on them for sure. I would define those as the munchies. Not if you're eating like 2 apples at 8 p.m.
Yeah, you're not eating 2 Empires and like, okay, I had the munchies.
Shout out Granny Smith and Red Delicious.
Pat, final question for you. Favorite alcoholic and non-alcoholic drink of the quarantine?
Oh, I mean, the non-alcoholic one is easy. I mean, I drink black coffee like it's going out of style.
Okay.
Big coffee guy. How many cups do you average per day? Like on a game day? Give me a game day.
A game day, 2 in the morning, probably 4.
Oh! Pat, I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Do you believe that?
Wait, both of us.
Yeah, that's like I'm saving it. I don't know what Al's doing. I'm saving it as like a secret cheat code unlock for when I like get tired one day.
I believe it because I did not start drinking coffee until I started working in baseball.
Okay.
Drive to Batavia, come home at midnight, get up early in the morning. Like, that was the only thing, that and Red Bull, and it's too much sugar for me now. I'm old. That's way too much sugar. So black coffee is like my lifeblood.
See, Pat, you don't look old. I mean, if people had an over.
Pat has a Benjamin Button thing going on for sure. Like that photo, Al, that photo that they posted, I don't forget who posted it, from some bachelor party, Pat, of all the WGR guys back in the day. Like I mean, you could be like a couple years before that photo right now. Like, I mean, I'm not just throwing smoke here.
I'm serious. Like, if we had a random person join this show right now and gave the over-under of all our ages, it would not shock me if Pat's could be the lowest. I mean,
yeah,
right?
Right?
I
mean, you could be our Trainwreck intern.
Yeah.
He goes to Hilbert.
The tan in. I mean, the tan takes a bunch of years off. It just
it's not Pat Malacaro. It's tan Malacaro.
And look at the white. He's got the white shirt too.
Yeah, that is. He knows what he's doing. He knows
exactly.
It's the perfect contrast.
And final question here: who's got the better lampshade? I mean, look at that. Yours. Who's got the better placement?
His is way better.
Look at that.
Mine. I like yours a lot. Now mine was a that was a family. I wouldn't call it a family heirloom, but it was something that's been passed down for years. So
wow, Al. So you're basically gonna try and insult Pat's family like that, huh? Live on the show.
I'm sorry.
Real cool, Pat.
The only time
Al, way to make our guests feel welcome, Al.
The only time I've heard that word heirloom is an heirloom tomato. I used to work in produce at Wegmans. Great tomatoes.
Heirlooms.
All right, that's it. No more. All right, Pat. Next question for you. Besides baseball, which sport are you most looking forward to?
When it comes back, hockey. I mean, I grew up on the ice. I love hockey. I've continued to play it just recreationally, over the years. So I'm hoping that the players and the owners have the agreement soon that they can quarantine in whatever hub cities there are. And, to me, the Stanley Cup is like that is the trophy. Just to see the playoffs that go 2 months and to have to win 4 games in a 7-game series. I know it's cliche, but for me, hockey is as good as it gets.
And Pat, that's a great point you bring up because you're honestly more of a rare breed in Buffalo, in my opinion, because you'll see people that we've talked to over the past 2-3 years that would rather have 1 Bills Super Bowl than 2 or 3 Stanley Cups, which to me is mind-blowing. Like, I will never agree with that take.
The 2 isn't mind-blowing to me. I'd say 3 is, yes. 3 is absurd. Yeah. I mean, I think 2 is a tough question. I think 2 is a Buffalo sports dilemma.
I would take, no doubt, 2 Stanley Cups over 1 Super Bowl.
Okay.
I mean,
hockey seasons are long and they're a grind, but NFL is everything, dude. NFL is everything nationally. I'm just saying, nobody actually, to be honest, I know the Sabres have gotten worse, but when I lived in Westchester, New York, the other side of the state, when I lived in New Jersey, nobody ever made fun of me for being a Buffalo Sabres fan. People made fun of me all the time for being a Buffalo Bills fan. Like, it was almost like I was like harmless. They had teams and I was like, oh yeah, the Bills. Like, nobody ever was like, oh, Hasek.
I get the national
And he was LeBron James of NHL, Al.
Stop. I get the national perspective, no doubt. NFL. That's the king. That's all over the world, the Super Bowl. But like, I still feel like the city of Buffalo, though, 2 Stanley Cup runs. Like, the city of Buffalo loves freaking sports. It doesn't matter if it's the Bills.
Plaza would be
Sabres.
incredible. Incredible.
I could not imagine April to mid-June Stanley Cup run twice. Like, I don't know. That's my take. Is Buffalo Sabres fans were diehard no matter what it is. And let's go.
I was going to say, I mean, Buffalo loves a party, period. So
Yeah.
I just want to see what Niagara Square would look like, or, wherever a parade route would be for Bills, Sabres, you name it. Just we can see the video of what 99 in, the runner-up parade and ceremony looked like. I mean, 3, 4, 5, 10-fold, whatever would be just amazing to see.
I'm thinking right now, like, for the Darlene draft, I mean, and we were 7 years into the drought at that point. For the Darlene draft, they basically half-filled the Plaza, Al. Like, the Plaza was about a half to 40% filled. If you get a legitimate playoff run, the Plaza probably won't be big enough at this point. Because everyone will want to be a part of it. They don't know if another one's coming for 10 years. It will be insane. So just get us there. Kevin with a Y, that's my guy.
Washington Street will be shut down. It'll go all the way to Seneca Tower, that party.
Can you imagine the top? We're on the top of the tower just going nuts. Cup. Pat Malacaro party surfing in the Plaza.
All right, Maniac, real quick. I know you want to touch on this. I never want to talk about this.
Yes.
WWE, go.
We got a big retirement, and it's weird because WWE had his retirement technically a bunch of years ago. The Undertaker, Mark Calloway, if you want to break kayfabe, finally hanging him up. Pat, just real quick, your favorite Undertaker memory and maybe like your thoughts on his retirement. Like, he did go a little long, but your thoughts.
Favorite memory is, I can't remember if it's SummerSlam 92 or 93, but whenever they were in Wembley Stadium, the Undertaker enters in an English-style hearse. He was taking on Kamala, and it was a long ramp all the way down from the back to the front. And it's dark, and to see him on the back of the hearse just ride in with the casket in the back was, as a kid, it was just one of those cool things that I've always remembered that entrance. I love the grand entrance, so that to me was always the best. And look, for him to just continue to go on, I think, you heard him say it, he didn't want to become a shadow of himself. So, with the way that some guys work once a year, could we see The Undertaker come back for, one more match again at a WrestleMania for a couple more years? Sure. But the official retirement is, good for him. Somebody that you talk about being a corporate company guy, never left WWE once he got there. And, not a first ballot Hall of Famer, because there is no first ballot in that sport.
Well, but let's keep in mind there are 2-time Hall of Famers, which makes that's the greatest thing, Al. I know your normal sports, you can only be a 1-time Hall of Famer, but in the WWE Hall of Fame, you can be a 2-time Hall of Famer. And tell me that doesn't make the Hall of Fame better. Like, we don't need the first ballot. Are you a 2-timer? Are you a 2-timer? Go on.
WWE Talk sponsored by Pazda Electric. Don't forget that, folks. And
Pazda Electric.
Go.
Okay, well, no, but I just wanted to give my opinion on the Undertaker. This is my new hot take, okay, Pat? I just came up with this in the last 10 seconds. WWE careers and sports careers aren't meant the same. Undertaker had a perfect career, lost to Lesnar at WrestleMania, and then put over Reigns as the new top star at a later WrestleMania. That would have been the equivalent of Michael Jordan hitting the game-winning shot against the Utah Jazz. Everything after Reigns at WrestleMania was Undertaker's Michael Jordan with the Wizards. He still had great performances. He still, shocked and awed crowds, but he just was never the same. He tried to capture that lightning. He had the match with Goldberg, which unfortunately I think they both want back. But he did eventually go out on top. Jordan had a couple big games with the Wizards. He showed he still had it. Undertaker had the cinematic match with AJ Styles at WrestleMania. And I think, to be honest, that actually played into his decision to retire. I mean, that was just such a solid match. It represented what he was as a character. He was able to do all 3 phases of his career: biker taker, phenom taker, and everything like that. And I think it was a poetic ending for him at the end of the day.
I think it's a really good analogy and a good way to put it. It's something I hadn't thought of, but you're right. I mean, it's people don't really remember the Wizards years. You're not going to remember him and Cena at WrestleMania.
You're not going to remember when Bray Wyatt captured The Undertaker to, like, steal his power. Like, that was one of the greatest endings to a pay-per-view I've ever seen. Like, people were like, Bray Wyatt's the new Undertaker. But you don't remember. It was a 47-point game from Jordan. That's what it was.
Right.
Look at his face. Poor Al. Like, he indulges us on the WWE talks, but we might as well just be speaking, like, Spanish.
It's a different language. But you know what? Buff Creek, starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow, open 24/7. Pat, are you a gambler whatsoever at all?
Yeah, I don't go regularly, but I do like it. And look, I've said for years, it blows me away that we can have an OTB where you can go and bet horses, but for this time you couldn't bet on games. It never made any sense to me. So now that there's so much money to be made for the states, I think it was inevitable that we got to that point. Like, UFC was banned for so many years because of the non-regulations, and then New York State was so far behind with the times. I'm glad that we're finally getting to the point where you're able to go to the casino and bet games. And this past Super Bowl with a couple of guys, I went down a couple of days ahead of time, placed a couple props just because you want to have some investment in it. And having played fantasy sports forever, that's fun. But I do like that aspect and think it's something that was long overdue.
Yeah, hopefully it's a matter of time when you can just literally look at your phone and place a bet. Online betting would be, very easy. That'd be awesome. But today, I got to give you guys an example. I took the under 2.5 in a Barcelona.
Could you imagine this guy walking through the section, though? Overs, unders, get your money lines. That's what I'm talking about. I want that in-stadium concession. Swipe my card, get that play in, and let's go. Like, this guy was meant to give you gambling lines. This guy was he was born to do it.
Live play, swipe your card right in the seats. Yeah, but today, Barcelona at Atletico Madrid, under 2.5. Final score, deuce. 3 PKs, 1 own goal. Like that.
Soccer is incredible. After watching more soccer than I ever have, I think you should be able to bet the under between like the 30th minute and the 80th minute. Like, and that should always be 1, Al, because it's either a goal is scored early or like it's not scored until after the 80th minute. Golf or soccer over unders are like a roller coaster.
It is. You're right. You can never really predict it, and that's what I'm talking about today. Like, there was not I don't want to call it true goal because a PK is that's a real goal, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a PK is like, what are the odds for the person that's kicking? Like 80, 90?
Yeah. PK odds are at least 85. At least 85 for sure. 5 out of 6 are going in. 5 out of 6 are going in.
So that's my point. There wasn't a real goal scored today.
I still think, I'm telling you, my soccer rule that I would change one thing, and I think it would be a lot more popular in the U.S., and I get that I might take flack for saying that. You got to get rid of the box, because what happens is players get just inside the box, and then they go like, oh, and then they get the same PK as if they had like an open breakaway. They get the same.
Okay.
Yeah, Phil, you're okay. I was diving. But no, like, so what you need to do is you need to make it an arc, like they do, like they do the NBA 3-point arc, for sure. And then you'll see a closer in, and you can still put the PK spot at the same spot, but you'll see that the box isn't like so ridiculous. I get that you want to have clear play in there, but it's just the United States does not like questionable calls deciding our games. And you see that in soccer and in Europe. I hate to say it, they're kind of okay with it, with PKs. At the end of the day, I don't see Bayern going nuts. That was not a VAR should have overturned that. Like,
I low-key agree with that, because sometimes the box is so far out. Like, they're not going to
it's
score
incredible.
from there.
There's no chance that if I'm just 1 foot inside the box that I should get the same opportunity if I'm one-on-one with the goalie point blank.
Spot on. Love it. And you know what, Pat? Maniac, what's it time for?
It is time for Trainwreck Trivia. 2 truths, 1 lie. And 1 truth is that you just hijacked the entire show so you can go over a bad beat. Let's just can we acknowledge that?
No, I brought up the Buff Creek opening up tomorrow.
I brought it up. I made a very thing. Trainwreck Trivia, 2 truths, 1 lie, brought to you by Posda Electric. 716-698-2711. Mention Trainwreck Sports or say this train never stops and get a free house surge protector with every service upgrade. Okay, folks, so here we go. 2 truths, 1 lie. Everyone's played some version of this game, I assume. Pat, have you?
Yes.
Okay, I know Al has. I know he plays in the mirror every night. But with that said, we have, for Pat, we are going to go with Trainwreck facts or history, etc.
Okay.
And you know this, Al's going to love this. For his, it's going to be WWE facts. So there you go. So you're both about on even standing here because there are going to be some that are easy. There are going to be some that are meant to be trick questions. But here we go. Trainwreck Trivia, we're going to let the guests go first. Guest honors, Mr. Pat. So we have 2 truths, 1 lie, brought to you by Posda Electric. Here we go. Okay, so this is your first question for both of you. They're a little easier, so here we go. This year, Trainwreck Sports will be 4 years old. We once interviewed Liam McHugh of NBC Sports and had the whole episode delete itself due to technical difficulties. And this train stops. Where's the lie, Pat?
The third one.
Okay. Shout out to Liam McHugh. We love Liam McHugh.
Are you kidding me with that?
That was a tough one. He was thinking for a second. Okay, Al, your questions. Vince McMahon owns the WWE. There was a wrestler during the Attitude Era named Mankind. Hulk Hogan never wrestled in WWE.
It's got to be the last one.
Got to be the last one. See, there you go. And I even put them in the same order so you knew, Al. So there you go.
Right.
Easy to get you on the board. I didn't want you going to goose egg like last time. Here we go. Second round of Trainwreck Trivia. 1-1. Pat and Al are tied. This one is going to go with reports. The theme of this category is reports for Trainwreck Sports. Trainwreck Sports incorrectly reported the Bills were going to sign Jadeveon Clowney last year. Trainwreck Sports was almost on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. And Trainwreck Sports reported on WGR 550 that UB AD Alan Green was going to Auburn. So Al gave that one away himself. I didn't see that in the rundown that he was going to give that one away.
True.
I'll go with the first one.
You're going to go with the first one? Trainwreck Sports incorrectly reported the Bills were going to sign Clowney last year. That is the lie. That was Why So Serious podcast. We all remember that. Who could forget that day? Okay, so Pat goes to up 2-1. Here we go, Al. So this is going to go with headlines. The category is headlines for WWE. Which headline is the lie? Donald Trump gains ownership of the WWE. The Rock stars in the Scorpion King 3 for WWE Studios. Or computer runs WWE Raw for almost 2 years. Which of those is the lie? Donald Trump gains ownership of WWE. The Rock stars in Scorpion King 3. Anonymous computer runs WWE Raw for almost 2 years.
Computer.
That is, in fact, true, as Pat acknowledges. A computer ran WWE for almost years and never gained any ownership on who it was, who was behind it, or anything, because that's WWE. You don't need explanations.
Just drop the storyline.
Pat is up 2-1. He breaks serve on Al there. Let's see. So we're going to go to the third round of Trainwreck Trivia brought to you by Posda Electric. This theme is guests, Pat. Okay, so one of these guests was not on Trainwreck Sports. The other 2 were. The 3 guests, Nate Robinson, John Warrow, Dion Dawkins. Nate Robinson, John Warrow, Dion Dawkins.
I'm going to say John Warrow.
John Warrow is correct.
How
I
would
tried
you
to get
do
him with the
this?
trick. I tried to get him with the trick, Al. I tried to get him with the trick. So we got that. He's going to go with John Warrow. He's done his scouting.
Pat wasn't prepped?
Pat was not prepped. He did not know anything about this game. Okay, Al, your theme for this next category is WWE pay-per-view events. I'm going to name for you 3 events. One of them is a fake one I made up. 2 of them are real ones, okay?
Okay.
WWE Armageddon, WWE Slamtown USA, WWE Judgment Day. WWE Armageddon, WWE Slamtown USA, WWE Judgment Day.
Slamtown USA.
Okay, so he goes for the trick angle because he didn't know any better, and he gets it right. 3-2.
Nice.
Al holds serve. You knew you went for that one because you thought it was a trick, but I won't go anymore.
I thought you might throw in there the Great Balls of Fire one to try and.
Oh, that would have been too ridiculous. That would have been unfair. Like, come on. No, I wouldn't even think that was a real one if I didn't see the actual pay-per-view. Okay, so it's 3-2 Pavich, a perfect game, as they say in the biz here. Let's see. We got round 4, so we got Trainwreck Sports events. These are events we covered in person. Okay, so these are 3 events. One event we did not cover in person. The UB football MAC championship game in 2018. Bills Jaguars 2017 wild card. UB Penn State 2019. Which of those events did we not attend or cover in person? Bills Jaguars, UB MAC championship 2018, UB Penn State 2019.
I'll go with the MAC championship 2018.
Pat allows a hit. He whiffs on that one. It was UB Penn State 2019. We were going to go, but then we ended up covering it live. Great first half, but unfortunately, so Al with a chance to tie it up. Left the door over here, round 4. Let's see what Al's got. This next theme is WWE appearances. So, Al, you're getting 3 individuals, okay? And which one of these did not partake in a match at WrestleMania? Okay. Jason Statham, Snooki from Jersey Shore, or Floyd Mayweather? Jason Statham, Snooki, or Floyd Mayweather? 2 of these had a WrestleMania. 2 of these individuals had a WrestleMania match. The other did not. Floyd Mayweather, Snooki from Jersey Shore, Jason Statham.
I'll go Floyd.
Floyd Mayweather did have a WrestleMania match. He knocked out the Big Show. WWE, like they always like to do, invites boxers on, has the boxers beat their main big guys, and lets the boxers leave after a huge payday, just like they did with Tyson Fury this past year. Yeah. So Al still trailing by 1.
So wait, what was the answer?
The answer is Jason Statham. Snooki from Jersey Shore had a WrestleMania match.
I figured Snooki was in there, but I thought Floyd can't lose.
I figured Snooki was in there. All right, I'll give you credit for that.
All right.
3-2 going into the last round of Trainwreck Trivia here, brought to you by Pause the Electric. So all the marbles here, guys.
Get it wrong, Pat.
Okay, which one of these is false or a lie? We used to use fake microphones that weren't actually hooked up to anything during our shows. We once accidentally broadcasted on the Buffalo Barstool page. Al used to throw his shirt against the wall while we recorded audio podcasts.
I'll go with the third one.
The third one, Al used to throw his shirt against the wall while we recorded podcasts?
Yeah.
Al?
It's true.
It's true that he used to do that. The lie is that we once accidentally broadcasted on the Buffalo Barstool page. We used to use fake microphones. Sorry, folks. We had to fake it till we made it. Now that we're here, we can make it. So Al can tie. I know people don't like tie, but hey, shout out 2011 All-Star Game. He could tie here. Round 5, Trainwreck Trivia brought to you by Pause the Electric. Which one of these superstars never held the WWE Championship title? Sheamus, Jinder Mahal, or Vader? Sheamus, Jinder Mahal, or Vader?
Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal answer. Pat tells him it's incorrect. Jinder Mahal won the title a couple years ago from Randy Orton. It's WWE superstar, Hall of Famer, Vader, who actually never held the title. So a lot of people look at that as kind of like when Peyton Manning didn't have a championship, but Vader's still a superstar. But one of those surprise stats, never held the WWE title. Pat Malacaro wins Trainwreck Trivia. He takes down Al 3-2. Brought to you by Pause the Electric. Congratulations. Thank you both for playing.
That was fun.
All right, it's time for shout-outs. Pat, you want to start it up?
You're in such a good mood right now, Al.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Looking forward to following along with everything, and hopefully we have baseball sooner or later. Be glad to chat with you guys again, have you at the ballpark, and hopefully we can be in person soon too.
Most definitely. Would love to be in person. I know I always do this for some. Well, I don't always do this. I do this for some guests, but I got to shout out Pat. Gave us press access to the Bisons last year. Let us get a lot of coverage. Let me freeze my ass off in the press box because everyone keeps it like 57 degrees in there. But no, didn't have to. You should have seen the look on Pat's face like the third day I was there when I was like, hey, can I interview Vladimir Guerrero Jr. one-on-one, like secretly away from everybody? And he's like, no, you can't do that because that is an absurd thing for a future MLB superstar to do. Like, and he said it in the nicest way. Literally said it in the nicest way for my ridiculous request. But just shout out to Pat, Brad, and the Bisons for that, for allowing us all that access and fun. And again, hopefully in-person fun sooner rather than later. A huge shout out still to the first responders. Obviously, things are still going on out there, so shout out to them. And also a shout out restaurant and service workers. Phase 4 is back, so they're working in an all-new environment. Don't forget, when you're ordering food, when you're going out and doing the things that you always used to do, the people working the spots weren't always, the protocol's new to them. So regardless if someone's worked a job for 5 to 10 years, they might be doing it a new way for the first time. So just have patience with them. I know that I'm working on that as well, but shout out to them for grinding back, and everybody in New York grinding back into phase 4.
Yeah, I was going to say same thing. Shout out to people that are still wearing a mask. I mean, you're right. The people that have to do that 8 hours a day. I mean, I go into Wegmans for 30 minutes or it doesn't matter, like 10 minutes into consumers. Wow. Look at those custom masks right there, folks. I don't have mine.
Oh, that Bisons is looking glossy.
Yeah, that thing's fire.
Looks like it's nice and like it looks like I'd want to like put it on my pillow.
My sister-in-law made it for me. She's very, very handy.
Okay. Shout out sister-in-law Malacaro.
And shout out to the people at Buff Creek, those employees.
Yes.
That place is beautiful.
Well, I was getting the clapping when I was walking in the other day. I mean, I think they should do that the whole time. I think they should have 3 to 5 people dedicated to just clapping while people walk in. It made me feel amazing.
And they're taking your temperature. There's hand sanitizing stations everywhere. They're wiping down machines. You feel very safe. It reminds me of a Wegmans.
Most definitely. Shout out to them.
So, Pat, once again, thank you for joining us tonight. Cannot wait for baseball season to start. We're pretty close. I mean, we're, 23 days away? What was it? Opening day, Nationals, Yankees.
July 24th. Looking forward to it.
Seriously.
Yep.
And real quick, I know we're signing off here. There's a lot of concern that it's still not happening. My way of gauging this is I look at these social media accounts, and MLB is pumping stories on their Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter every day. So they're planning on coming back as of right now. Like, don't think there's any hesitancy on that regard. No, there's been a little couple things here and there, but I think they're a full go. So I'm just very excited about sports coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today, guys. It's been fun. And like I said, hopefully we can all be in person soon and enjoy all this stuff once again.
Pat, final question for you. My trivia question edition. How do we end the show?
Ooh.
You got me.
Good night.
Now.